Hubbyist, my job just got a lot easier. Hubbyist of the tubiest. Best YouTube subscribers on the planet. That's you. And I'm 50 plus. You know, the one thing that definitely scares people away from and forces them to quit flatbed is securement and tarping, okay? And I get it. I mean, I used to tease my son, hey, I don't need to get flatbed experience. I'm just gonna buy the truck, buy a trailer, then we're gonna run together, and you're gonna do all the securement, And he was like, oh no, but I was only saying that in jest of kinda, but I had a preconceived notion on tarping and securing a load because there's always this stigma about how difficult it is, and the securement part. Let me tell you, actually strapping or chaining a load down is really not that big a deal. Sometimes you have to kind of look at the load really good and decide what's the best way to secure it. And in my opinion, the best way is to over secure it. And in a little bit, I'm going to show you some photos, and you will see that the load I got on there is definitely over secured. But it's not that big a deal. Just throw the straps, okay? Excuse me. And no, that's not Corona. Some pepper I got in the back of my throat. So, I don't want anybody to be discouraged about coming into flatbed, because the securement part of it, or what's worse than that is the tarping part of it, is going to be too hard for you. It's really not. It's not. The tarping is not really all that difficult. It actually is more. It's what irritates me more is folding the tarp than it is putting it on. It's not that big a deal. And most of the time, I say most of the time. Let me take that back. Quite a few times, I put it to you that way. The tarping is made easy by either the shipper having a forklift and they just setting the tarps on top of the loads for you, or they have a tarp machine there that will drag the tarps on top of the load for you. Either way, it's not so bad. If they set the tarps on top with a forklift, all you have to do now is climb on top of the load and roll them out and kick them off the sides. It's really not hard. It really isn't. Okay. Here's where it gets a little easier, and that is based off of the material that the tarps are made of. Here at Melton, the company tarps are, I think they're 18-pound tarp material, and it's like a heavy vinyl, thick vinyl, and they get used and abused, so they're gonna have to be as heavy and as strong as they can be so that they can last. Okay, and that makes them quite a journey to work with, because they're so heavy. Even when the tarps are on top, you now have to get out there and unfold them off, and it's not a huge ordeal. But by the time you get through tarping that sucker, man, you're gonna be worn out. Not only that, you guys know it's allergy season, so with 50 plus, my videos have had me wiping tears out of my face all day long from my eyes, or they're not liking the allergy season. So anyways, when you go to unroll the tarp, you know, it's harder because they're heavy, you know, and then it falls down to the side, and then you got to, you know, kind of slide them so that they're even and all that kind of stuff. And the heavier weight the tarps are, the harder they are to maneuver. Not only that, the heavier they are, it's harder to close off gaps, and then air, as you're driving around, air will climb under them. And I mean, it's like water, man. If it's a way to get in there, it's going to get in there, and it'll poof the tarp out as you drive down the road. So, you know, when that happens, you know where you didn't secure well, so you have to go, you know, pull over and more bungees type of thing. You see what I'm saying? And you learn as you go, you know, better ways to tarp those loads. So that part could be more of a challenge than securement. Okay. And then once you're done with loads, you got to fold them back up, and the heavier they are, the harder they are to fold, and then you got to roll them, and then you got to lift them and put them back in tarp boxes and all that kind of stuff. So what I've done to make my life a little easier is I purchased a set of tarps, and I bought them from the same company that makes Melton's tarps, and I believe they also make them for a couple of other mega carriers, and so they do a fantastic job, high quality stuff. And I'm going to show you some photos of my tarp job. Okay, as you can see, I had a load of sheetrock. So, I mean, it was perfect for the first time I used those tarps, right? I mean, a perfectly squared situation. It makes it real easy, right? Okay, so it was, and I generally don't put straps on top of the tarps. I normally strap the load and then put the tarp on top. But at that facility, they don't want you climbing on the trailer or climbing on the load on their property. So they put those tarps on, and then you bungee it down and secure it, and then you have to get off of their property if you're gonna climb on that trailer. And so that's why the straps ended up on the outside. But still worked out really good. In fact, it's a couple of guys there, and if you have a good attitude and you see somebody doing something, you go ask them, hey, you know, why do you do it this way? Why do you what's the trick here? And then you'd be surprised how many people will educate you. You don't necessarily have to do it the way that they're saying, but if you see something interesting and you want to talk, go ask that driver, hey, you know, why do you tarp this way? Why do you strap that way? You know, why do you cross your bungees? Why do you, pull the bungees on the outside of the rub rails? And you'll be surprised how many guys will be willing to share some knowledge with you, okay? And I learned some things with that load from the driver that was in front of me. But and one thing was on putting those, when I had to put those straps on the outside, he taught me a couple of things, which was pretty cool. But anyways, those tarps are it's a 16-pound tarp, and it's 16-pound on the sides as well, because they are the company's tarps are 8-foot drops. So I bought 6-foot drops, and that means when a tarp lays across the top and it drops down the side, mine's only dropped down 6 feet instead of dropping down 8 foot. So if it dropped down 8 foot, I have to roll or secure all of that extra tarp underneath and then bungee. Well, with shorter drops, you have very little more of extra to work with, which makes it so much easier. And the fact that they're lighter material, it makes it You see how those tarps are laying on that load. I mean, it rode like that the whole time, and the tarps they're 26 foot long. So to cover the entire trailer load, if I had it from the front to the back, I got 2 tarps. Those 2 tarps will cover that entire load. I don't have to use 3. So I have to roll out 2 tarps. And it makes just a hell of a difference. Okay? Now I'm not saying that once you decide to come to Flatbed that you got to do this, because you don't. The company provides you with tarps. I know of another company that does flatbed, and you purchase those tarps at the beginning, period. They don't supply tarps. And Melton is pretty good to provide tarps for their drivers, because, when we rag them out, we just take them to a terminal and drop them off and get fresh ones, and then they send them off to get repaired, and the company paying for all of that. So, which is why they buy those big, thick, heavy, extra strong tarps. It's because they have to pay to repair them. Come on. I don't blame them. I didn't buy them, that heavy, but I'm willing to bet you my care in my own tarps is probably going to be a lot different than they would be with someone else's. You follow what I'm saying? And that's, I get why they get those heavy ones, but these tarps made my tarping situation just absolutely, it's a night and day difference. Night and day. And so don't think that that you gotta struggle when you come out here and that there's no options, because you can order your own personal tarps, and they do need to meet specifications. You don't want to buy a full parachute tarp, because that may not be what the shipper requires. Okay, and so if you give Joplin Tarps a call, and if you're a Melton driver, you can call them and say, hey, I'm a Melton driver, and they know, they'll bill you whatever you want, but they know what the right thing to do, and they'll advise you the right way. I, by no means, I pay for my tarps, okay, and they're not paying me to throw their name out there, but I'm just telling you, I had it was a smooth transaction. They brought the tarps from Joplin to the Tulsa terminal, and then I went to Tulsa and picked them up. And so it worked out really good. I paid for them over the phone. They dropped them off, and clean, easy transaction. But I tell you what, they were definitely worth it. And I am going to purchase some 8-foot drops with the lighter drop material, so that when I get a tall load and I need to cover that tall load, my 6 won't make it all the way down. So I'm gonna need some 8s, and I would much rather use a 2-piece 8-foot drop than to have to throw those 3 up there. So anyways, I thought you guys would be interested in looking at my new tarps, and if you're interested, just call them. Call Joplin Tarp. I'll put their phone number at the bottom, and they'll take real good care of you. If you're a Melton driver, just let them know and they'll take care of you. Okay, it's a super sweet deal. And they also do the middle tarps, the square tarps, and coil tarps as well. Anything tarps you need, man. They did a fantastic job for me. They're not paying me to say this stuff. It was just some information that I can pass on to you. It worked out really well for me. And another driver passed that information on to me. I saw a driver with tarps like that. I was going, man, how that dude, laying it down like that? And I went and talked to him, and he told me, call Joplin Tarp Co. They're the same people who do our tarps. So I said, cool. And sure enough, worked out really well. I ran into another guy, same thing. So, guys, do it. Call Joplin, get you some tarps made. Okay. Till I see you again, deliver undistracted, Here's your boop. Boop.